and welcome to the big finale, the granddaddy of them all, our final podcast of the 2024-2025 season, the Yeshiva League Pass tip-off podcast, episode number 11. We normally do 10, but this was such a great season, such a great championship game. We wanted to bring on the DRS starters and the key players on the team to talk to them. Coach Moshe Cohen, we're going to bring them on in a few minutes. It's just been a great season. We'll close it at the end of the show after we're done with them. But before we begin our final show, we just want to once again thank our season-long sponsors, Holy Schnitzel, Gotta Get a Bagel, and coming up in the closing, our last few episodes, Camp Seneca Lake. They've been with us. They're really instrumental in being able to provide this podcast to you, the fans of Yeshiva League basketball. And Holy Schnitzel, as I've said all season, if you want some good food, they have everything. Chicken, shawarma, steak, salads, you name it, they have it. They have locations throughout the tri-state area on Uber Eats. You know where to find them. Follow the smell of good food, and you will end up at a Holy Schnitzel location. We also want to thank Gotta Get a Bagel, located in Hewlett and Woodmere, New York. The best appetizing store you can imagine here in the Five Towns. They have it all. Appetizing salads, sushis, wraps, obviously bagels, and it's just a great place. Both of these places are caterers. They do bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs, any simcha you have, look them up, and they will be there to enhance your simcha. And without our last one, to not forget, obviously Camp Seneca Lake, located in Honesdale, Pennsylvania, one of the best Jewish sleepaway camps in the country. Camp Seneca Lake, if you've been there, you've seen the beautiful landscaping, the beautiful community of Camp Seneca Lake, all that they have to offer under the guidance of Ross Zuckerman, the camp director. If you've been to Seneca, you don't want to go home because that place is second to none. And those are our sponsors. Without further ado, let's bring on the 2025 Yeshiva League champions, the DRS Wildcats, and Coach Moshe Cohen. We are joined by the DRS champions, Moshe Cohen. You should enjoy it. This is a great moment for you. Before we get into the questions, we have Adir, what's his last name, Oren?
Staknovitz.
The lethal three-point shooter, Avi Slomonicki, Gaby Spodek, Yitz Bennett, Michael Solomon, Joe Aaron. We told him he can't be with the team because he's been on the show enough, so we have him on a satellite feed. And also possibly joining us later will be other superstar Tzvi Saidi. So Moshe, first of all, congratulations. What a season. I know, from having Joe on the show and watching you guys all year, the goal for this team was a championship. Obviously, you knew the team you had. Tell us about the season, just in a moment or two, from beginning to end, how you guys were able to focus, and now you're on a 15-game win streak and ultimately capture the championship.
Yes, so we came in with high expectations. We played, we really ended last season strong, finishing Sarachek Tier 2 championships. We felt like we were better than some of our standings last year. We thought we could compete with the top, even though we were probably a step below. That was the reality. But Joe and Steve really peaking during Sarachek, and when we went into this year, we had high hopes, high expectations, and we started off the year wanting to win it all. From preseason Magen David tournament, for the season, Saturday in Memphis, we had it all on our calendar, and we came to play, and we've worked hard, and it's unbelievable. It's amazing to actually win. It's so hard to actually win. I've been part of good teams as a coach, as a player, and it's just so hard to actually win. And to have the success this year is just awesome. I'm so happy for these guys, and such incredible games to be part of. Like, each playoff game and championship was, for me, just so special to be part of with these guys.
Yeah, well, first of all, I think every tournament you mentioned there, you've captured the championship except for the Memphis one, I believe, where you lost to Eula. And we'll get to them because in your post-game interview, you kind of gave a little shot to Eula, which I know you have some family relatives there, so it's all in good fun in Shalheva, but we'll get to that in a sec. I want to start with the loudest guy in the team. I don't think I have to say who that is. You probably are aware. Not Gaby Spodek. He has a lot to say, but let's start with Michael Solomon. Michael, Oren and I were both before the show waiting for you to figure out the Zoom and get you guys on. And Oren goes, you know who Michael reminds me of? I go, don't say it. I want to say it on the show. I go, who? He goes, Draymond Green, right? He said, yeah. I said, why? Because he doesn't like to shoot three-pointers? He said, no, because you are just the glue that keeps everyone together. You take the charges, you come up with the big buckets. Tell us about this championship. I mean, I know how much it meant to you, but that championship game, how did you not only withstand the defense on Eyal, but also hit those timely buckets in key moments?
Sheesh. Well, I'm still kind of processing. It's not easy to win a championship. A lot of work goes into that. I spent my dad, coach, the team. We spent a long week just preparing on how to guard a monster like Eyal inside and keep him away from his spots and make him uncomfortable. I think we did a solid job at that. He did score a solid amount, but I do think we did a solid job in holding him in a place.
Listen, you might not have more to say because you're like kind of a walking concussion with all the charges you take, so that's good. But tell us about what I think, Moshe, and this is, I'll go to one of the other guys. What I think is so special about your team is really personified in that championship. You had contributions from so many players. In overtime, the person that stepped up with really big buckets was Yitz Bennett, right? He's not a starter. He's a junior, but he's a key contributor. Yitz, tell us about those moments. You hit a big baseline jumper. You hit a nifty layup. In last game against Magan, you hit the key foul shot to tie up the game. How do you stay prepared knowing that you have so many guys on your team and you have to know when it's your moment to step up?
Well, I have a lot of people to lean on in overtime. Like one of my buckets, Joe passed, he gave me a wide open layup, so it wasn't even like I had to do much. But there's a lot of people that could get me there, so there's not really a lot of pressure on me. The only way that we got to overtime was from a lot of people making key plays. Mike had a key jumper. There's a lot of people that were helping us get there, so it's not really a lot of pressure on me. I don't feel a lot of pressure.
Right. Well, that's where it's key. And then Joe, let's get to you. First of all, Joe's a little under the weather. When you're carrying your team to a championship, your back could hurt a little. You can feel you may need to go home and rest up. But Joe, tell us about this moment. What was such a key, I think, throughout the game was the way that anytime, and we'll get into the course of the game, but anytime TABC kind of made a run, you were there to say, you know what, I'm not settling for a jump shot. I'm taking the ball to the basket. I think you had 3-and-1s the old-fashioned way. What was your mentality, knowing the game, how it unfolded with you guys going up early, and then TABC fighting back, and you were able to step up in those key moments?
I mean, TABC is always even the last time we played them, we had the same opportunity, went up big, and then they jumped right back in. But this game, once we went up, I was a little comfortable, but not I was a little flustered a little. And then as the game went on, I just decided to take over a little, drive in, take it to the hoop, and try and cause foul trouble on them, which honestly worked a lot.
Yeah, well, I mean, I know Borgen fouled out. Who else? Oren, someone else fouled out.
Kaiser.
Right. So you guys really did, have a lot. Listen, it's not that I'm not letting Oren speak. He's a little still shell-shocked. So I'm going to let Oren jump in with a question. Obviously, it's PTSD. We understand, these guys beat everyone this year. So you're in a long line of company here. But what questions do you have for the champions?
Yeah, this is definitely not the easiest interview I've had to conduct in my life. Moko, we had the opportunity to spend the weekend together in Memphis, and you actually made the prediction back then, all the way in November, that you were highly confident that it was going to be a TABC DRS final, and it rang true. Why were you so confident in making that prediction all the way back in November?
You guys have TABC, you guys had a different team than anyone we had played up to that point. Your front seven just felt very similar to our front seven. And having Eyal as a big man just throws off most other teams. And you guys have a real base. You have the 5 starters, and Faber coming off the bench are probably top 6, outside of our team, because I think too highly of us. It's the best 6 out there, right? And you have Sachs, you have a point guard that could play and control the ball. You have the 3, and he's very sassy out there, moves around really strongly. And then you have, Eyal, who just so much effort, pressure, and we try not to double. We really let Mike and Yitz take control of this, and the game plan worked. At times they hit the 3, but TBC was a great team. And, you know, even when we went up 22-5, there was like a moment where I thought maybe this will be a different type of game and maybe we're going to actually do this. But, you know, these guys started to hit shots, and the way the first half ended, I just knew, you know, this was going to be a game. And I mean, hats off to you guys. I spoke to Oz for a couple of minutes today, and I'm just so impressed with TABC's ability in such a big game to actually come back and tie that up, you know, to be resilient and make that a game. So incredible. And, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if we see you guys again in Sarachek.
Yeah, well, first of all, you mentioned the game, and everyone, I'm sure there was 2,000. It's going to be up to 10,000 viewers by the time everyone watches it. But you guys went on a run. You're up 16-3, then 22-5. I'm kind of texting someone, this game is brutal. I don't really want to watch, you know, but I have to watch because I have nothing else better to do but watch Yeshiva League ball. But here they are. All of a sudden, they cut it to 12, Moshe, as you said, from 12 to 14 or 15, whatever it was. I don't remember if it was a 3 or 2, but that's a big difference. So you see all of a sudden they're coming back. So Gaby Spodek, I know you had a lot on your mind yesterday. You had Mazel Tov to your sister's bat mitzvah, and you know, you were at the game, obviously. Tell us about early on. You hit some really big buckets, but how is it being a point guard playing with Svi Saidi, where you're both kind of, you know, these combo guards, point guards? How do you play together, and how are you so successful within that offense?
Playing with Svi's great. He's a bucket. You get him the ball and he just scores. Sometimes you're like, he shoots the ball, you're like, oh my God, what are you doing? But then he just hits it like those deep threes, and it's really amazing. His defense, he's everywhere. He had like 3 steals yesterday, and I love playing with him.
Right, but how also do you know when to look for your offense, as opposed to, because we know you have that capability as well, and you hit at the early part of the game, and I think you did this against Magan also. You really, it seems like you get your shots at the beginning, and then you kind of let the offense, you know, go through your superstars.
Yeah, I try to get off to an early start to kind of feel the game, I guess. And yeah, that's what I try to do in all the games. And then as defenses adjust, I try to give it to Svi and Joe and give it to, you know, and share and adjust to the game, as they say.
Right. Well, listen, enjoy them for hopefully 4 or 5 more games. And then, you know, all those big juniors on the team, yourself, Yitz and Michael, are going to, you know, you'll miss them when they're in Israel, I'm sure. But yeah, great season to hear. First, it's Avi, right? Am I right? In Slomaniki? I wanted to ask you this. Obviously, you're a key member of the team. You're a senior against Magan. I know you hit those back-to-back 3-pointers, those corner threes, I believe, to really help, you know, catapult them. Tell us about yourself in the moment. There was one play where in overtime you made a foul on a streaking TABC guy, and I want to know what that conversation is with Moko. He's a social worker. He's a motivator. What does he say? He's obviously the best dressed in the business, as we've already heard. But tell me about the conversation Moshe has with you to withstand that moment and still, you know, focus on the goal and the task at hand.
Well, Moshe has trust in me. He has trust in what I do. So after I made the play, I'm looking around, seeing what's going on, because like it took a couple minutes for like them to actually make the call. So of course I didn't think that was what the call was going to be, that they would get the 2 shots and then also get the ball again. But I look at Moshe, and Moshe looks at me, and he had full confidence in me, and he's like, okay, play happened, but now we just got to move on.
Yeah, well, it was, and I'll tell you what, it was great because you didn't hang your head. You like, as you said, and that kind of is what this team is about. We have to, Svi, take your microphone off. I mean, not take, okay. So right on time, I had one more question for Adir. We're going to get to you in a sec, Svi. Adir, tell us about how you are always ready to get that 3-point shot off. Everyone knows you're shooting threes. I don't know if on the season you've taken a shot that's not a 3. That's another story. But how is it knowing the teams are focused on your 3-pointers and you still have the wherewithal to get that shot off, you know, when necessary?
The defense has to focus more on like Gaby, Svi, Joe, like the playmakers. So I just gotta be ready to get the pass.
All right. Well, you're always there, and I don't know if you had a 3 in the championship, but I know you're if there's a 3-point competition amongst Yeshiva League ball players, you're in the top 5. So congrats on a great season. Svi, perfect timing. I don't know if you waited until I got through everyone else, but first of all, thank you for joining us. I know you and Joe are already in Disney World, and you know, you're enjoying the vacation of winning a championship. But no, talk to us about the feeling of winning a championship, what it means to you, someone who didn't go to HALB, in elementary school, now joining your brothers in arms, the DRS guys. What does this championship mean, and how does it feel?
Feels amazing. It's been 4 years. Every year I think we got a little bit better as a team and individually. Yeah, we ended up losing our first round. I don't think we ever won a playoff game till this year.
Wow.
But but I think we should have won it a bunch of times, and yeah, it feels great to actually win it.
I was going to say you could blame your coach, but I think Moshe has been your coach all 4 years. So
He's been amazing.
right. No, but also look, one of the key things that I said in the preview was that we know Joe and Eyal. They're great ball players. We don't have to go on that. But I kind of said I think the matchup between you and Yona Mandel was going to really end up dictating who wins. And you stepped up. You had 21 points. But again, I think tell us about the 3-pointers, the way you were able to, as soon as TABC makes a run, you come back and you hit a bucket, a backbreaker, a 3-pointer, a lefty drive. You had one beautiful lefty drive off the glass. How were you able to know when to go and push with all that you had?
Really just staying calm and being aggressive at the right times, and just knowing when to attack mostly. Moko tells me when I should be driving more, shooting more, and just listening to coach and staying aggressive.
Right. Well, you did a fabulous job. Joe Aaron, talk about how this championship feels. Obviously, like Moshe said, going into the season, this is what you wanted. We had you on, literally, you are our first guest player of the week, and you spoke about how this championship or bust. I mean, you said it confidently, not being cocky, just really your expectations. But now that you were able to climb that mountain, you won the championship. And as Moshe said, winning a championship in the Yeshiva League, it's not easy. You can be the best team, but you got to withstand injuries. You got to have good matchups, and you got to play in big moments. So talk to us about the feeling of being a champion, and how that feels.
It's great. I mean, we worked all year for this. We've worked 4 years for this, honestly. And I mean, ultimately, it's just like we did it. I mean, honestly, now all I'm thinking about right now is Sarachek, and hopefully we can take that out. And also, you want the greatest seasons. But ultimately, this win it's amazing. It just feels great.
Yeah. Well, look,
right now, but
I hope it feels good, better than you sound, because you sound like, thank God Sarachek's not starting tomorrow. You'll have some time to rest up and and get your strength back. But that it's just been amazing. Oren, what do you have for the champs?
So I believe the last team to win the Yeshiva League was the famous unbeaten Gabe Leifer and DRS Wildcats. Did any of you guys have the opportunity to talk with?
Wait, you mean to win the Yeshiva League and Sarachek in the same year?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Did any of you guys have the opportunity to talk with those players on the team in the lead up to this championship run? Moko, have you had any opportunities to speak with Abram? Seeking his guidance in any way leading up to this championship run?
So Abram does reach out every once in a while. He reached out right after the game yesterday. So believe it or not, I'll be honest, I haven't really reached out to DRS alumni and things like that, but certainly along the last month, guys like Joey Honig, guys like Coach Malcolm Flatbush, Coach Ike Dweck, I reach out to all the coaches. I respect these guys so much. And any advice I could get or feedback or anything is just really a privilege for me. So I'm always trying to reach out to the coaches, and I feel like I'm a student. Like I still, it's hard to believe that we won a championship, like as a coach and everything for me. It's really special, to be in this league with coaches that I played for, coaches I played under, played against. Just amazing. And, to go with the Sarachek thing, to me, being one in the country was the goal from day one. And as much as winning the Yeshiva League, I don't want to knock it in any way, but we want to be one in the country. And, you said it before, I said it last night, we want Eula, we want Shalhavet, we just, we still have a little bit of a scar since losing in overtime in Memphis. And I think for all the guys, like we want to go out, saying we're number one.
Right. Well, you're potentially going to have the shot. You come in as the 3 seed. Obviously, I'm sure you have some questions with the seeding committee, as everyone does. Everyone believes they're better than they are, or they should be seated higher. But talk to us about Eula. I know that you have, like I said, your sister sends her kids to Eula. You have that connection. What's it like when you face Eula in Memphis and now potentially having an opportunity to get them again? What's going to be different? What do you feel, that you guys are better prepared for now than you were back in November?
I think all season we've just gotten better and better, and in the biggest games, our stars come out, so everyone knows we had Joe and Svi 1 and 2 right there, Batman and Robin, and they scored 45 points yesterday in a championship game combined. I mean, that's, for both to go over 20 and shoot well, play well defensively all around, Svi starting off that overtime with getting the turnover on the sideline there, was a huge play, and then us scoring 8 straight. So we're ready. That game made us better. It was a tough loss, but it definitely made us better. I've been looking at Eula since they won Sarachek last year and they're running the playoffs. And, I looked at them as just a really high class Jewish basketball team. And they were the standard that I was looking at as like, that's the level I want to play at. And Memphis, to be honest, when we went into Memphis, I thought we were way below them. And after that game, I saw we're right there. And it really, and through Satrin, through the season, I think we're at our peak right now. Anything could happen, but I feel so good at the level we're going to be at going into Sarachek.
Yeah, well, you said it right. First of all, you mentioned about you feel like you're a student. You look like a student behind that desk at DRS. So you fit right in. You look about maybe 2 years older than the guys, but that's just because the way you take care of yourself. But
30
what
minutes.
did you say?
30 minutes might be longer than I was a student here.
Exactly. That's funny. Well, listen, I know you guys have to go. You have probably Moshe has practice ready for you in about 10 minutes. But Michael, I started with you. I want to end with you. Tell us about you're the emotional leader. Again, we don't, you see it, you live, breathe, and vomit on your jersey like nobody else. But take us through, how were you able to keep the team's composure when you saw that TABC came all the way back? They tied it up. Something tells me you're the voice, I wouldn't say of reason, but you're the voice that's talking to guys. What are you saying to them, and how do you keep everyone, focused on the ultimate goal?
It's actually funny you asked. This is something I was praising the team about, a lot of different people, because I think all year we did a really, really good job. And this helps when you have a therapist as your coach, and I think over the past couple of years in DRS especially, the coaches have been really good at just keeping the guys calm when you face adversity and things start going wrong, because basketball's a game of runs and things go your way, things don't, refs make calls, this, that, and there's a lot of up and downs in basketball. And I think that throughout the course of the season, we did a really, really good job at just keeping calm and composed and not freaking out, because a lot of teams, if you watch something like you're leading like how we were, and we were off to the start that we were, and to have that just crumble like that really quickly, a lot of teams would have just folded and unraveled and fell apart, and that's the game from there, and that you lose. But we did a really, really good job of just staying composed and calm, and they didn't lead after 3. They might have tied it, but they didn't lead again after that. We made the stops, we made buckets when we needed, and we just did our thing.
Yeah, well, Michael, something tells me you may be a coach in your future life. Just saying, it's a possibility. But before we let you guys go, first of all, I'd be remiss not to congratulate DRS on an outstanding athletic season, between your guys winning the varsity basketball championship and both your hockey teams winning the JV and varsity. Before we go, Moshe, any shout outs, or any of the guys, a minute just to thank anyone, or anything you want to say to anyone? This is your moment. Enjoy, and the floor is yours.
Shout out to the entire team. We have some, but this was a team effort, and I wish everyone was here, tonight, because this is 1 through 14, and we've worked so hard to get to this point, and it's hard. I've been part of teams and championship teams, and it's really special when everyone has a role. Only 5 guys can play at a time, and sometimes it's tough being on the bench and different things. And this was a team that everyone seemed to find their role, whatever it was, in practice, pushing the guys, being there for support. And that's why we're here. That's certainly why we're here. So it's 1 through 14.
All right, hey guys, anyone shout outs, or Michael? I knew you wouldn't be shy. Go ahead, Michael. Start us off.
Our assistant Harry Grushko.
Yes.
Big part, best assistant coach in the league. Always there for us, pushing the guys, practice, game, always setting the tone. He's a big piece of this championship win.
Amen.
Miss him tonight. Tell you that much.
All right. Anyone else?
To the greenhouse?
Yeah, I know. By the way, They're not all 500 are not going to support you if they don't get any love.
Greenhouse, those games were wild. Those games, I mean, the Mag and David home game is something I'll never forget. That Saturday night, I'll never forget that game. Incredible.
Order on the court.
I think, as you said, this is a season you guys won't forget. The beauty of live stream, all the videos that you have, the highlight packages that are put together. Congratulations to all of you guys. You guys are not only superstars on the court, you all seem like mentions off the court, led by Moshe Cohen. That's not a shock to anyone. Congrats on the season. Best of luck in Sarachek, and we hope to see you guys hosting another trophy in the future.
Thank you.
All right, Oren, first of all, very well behaved. I know this wasn't easy for you, for your school, but first of all, I want to give a quick shout out. Wow, TABC. I mean, and I'm not saying this because you're the athletic director, but as I said, that was one of the greatest comebacks in a huge game that you'll ever see. When you're losing 22-5, it's 17 points, but you have one field goal the whole first quarter. I think Sack started them off 3-0. Then I think Eyal or somebody had 2 foul shots. They had no field goals other than that. To be able to come back, Oz, we've talked about him all season. He is second to none. He is a great coach. The calmness, the demeanor he carries, and the execution he has. But TABC, they didn't lose the game. I think DRS won that game with the way that they just withstood the rally. But any other moments you want to talk about as far as the championship or anything that you wanted to say about the game?
Yeah, I think despite coming back, they're still going to beat themselves up over that first quarter that they played, because it still goes back to what I suggested, that you can't expect to make up that ground against a team like DRS and expect to come out on top, because even that run itself, or the multiple runs, they take a lot out of you. And I think that's kind of what what spelled doom in terms of overtime.
Right.
And Borgen fouling out. Also, there were these little big moments too. Saidi, the mid-range jumper before time expired in the first quarter. That was
on his own rebound, by the way. That was a 3-pointer.
Right.
And
or Michael Solomon getting fouled and then hitting the 2 free throws after before Mandel tied the game. So it's these little moments in the game that you're going to look back on. The fact that TABC started the second half and overtime with possession and turned the ball over. So it's really these little moments that you're going to look back on despite the come from behind rally.
Right. I agree. And also, I think one of the big keys to the game is, first of all, a special shout out to Eyal Kindler. I mean, I've seen, but the way he willed his team back there and everything ran through him. Borgen was creating a lot of shots for himself, but Eyal, bodies hanging on him, tracking down offensive rebounds, hitting a 3-pointer. I mean, hitting his foul shots. He was doing it all. But I think one of the key moments was the first quarter. Eyal was missing a lot of shots. He generally hits close to the basket, and he took a lot of shots, and they were all close range for the most part. And I think, like what you said, missing those shots, he hits 2 or 3 of those. All of a sudden, that 17 points is 11 points. It's a lot closer, and that mountain you have to climb is not as severe. But again, what a season. I mean, it was just great. Sarachek is going to be awesome. We know Max Live is going to go through their whole projections of each game. It's going to be fabulous. It's the granddaddy of them all for Yeshiva, for Jewish basketball across the country.
I think I'm part of the prediction panel again. I was the only one last year who got Eula right.
There you go. But yeah, well, I think probably a lot of people picked Mag and David to win last year, but that was a classy game. But it's been a phenomenal season in the Yeshiva League. And I think this season, we talked about it every episode, there was so much parity amongst the upper echelon teams that even though we had DRS as number 1 in our rankings for probably 80% of our rankings, we always said DRS, TABC, SAR, Ramaz, Frisch. There are a lot of teams, Hillel, Maggin, Flatbush. There are a lot of teams who, if they're not at that level, they're right there, and we wouldn't be surprised if anyone upset anyone. And ultimately, DRS, they have the cherry on top of their season. Obviously, Moshe Cohen, as he said, Sarachek is just as much in their mindset and goals as this Yeshiva League was. But for everyone in Yeshiva League basketball, the one thing great about seniors, for people who have to play against them, they graduate. For those juniors, sophomores, freshmen, you get to go up and have another opportunity to play the game you love and to compete for that ultimate title. For Oren Glickman, I'm Ari Wickus, Yeshiva League Pass podcast tip-off show. We're out. We'll be back next year. Thanks for joining us and have a great summer.